let's continue with more modifiers. We are going to look at, first of all, the decimate modifier and see what that does. So in order to do this, let's create something quickly and somewhat interesting to work on. So let's delete this cube. Let's create a torus. And let's add, I don't know, just a little bit more detail to it. That's fine. And let's tab into edit mode, go to subdivide, and let's give it a couple subdivisions. Alright, that's good. Let me double check that we are recording. Yes, we're recording. Okay. So, let's go into sculpting mode. Sculpting. And turn on this, remember we talked about this before, this din topo, dynamic topographics, and make sure that smooth shading is on. And let's just get a larger brush, and maybe just, you know, I don't really care much what you do to it. Symmetry is on right now, but I just want you to deform the surface quite a bit, and you're adding detail. Remember, when dynamic topographics is on, you're actually adding subdivisions, you're adding detail. So we're creating quite a lot of detail in this object every time we draw on it or sculpt it. So just make this torus kind of lumpy. That's the way to put it. Lumpy torus. I'm just using the simple draw function. Okay, so got a pretty lumpy thing. So that's fine. So let's go back into layout mode. All right, we've got this object. We've got quite this uneven geometry, but you know it's fine. So sometimes when you are creating objects and you end up with a lot of detail, again, it's a balance between the look that you want, the detail you want, and how much processor time you want to how much you want to dedicate to processing it. So if I needed to render this, or if I wanted to animate this, for instance, the animation of every frame might take a while based on the fact that it's trying to calculate all this geometry. So there is a modifier that can be used. So if you go over to the wrench tool, make sure object is selected, go to modifier and hit decimate. So when you do this, nothing will happen. There's no visible change. There are three types of decimate algorithms, I guess you'd call them, or ways that the computer processes it. We're going to look really just at collapse for now. And what I'd like you to do is hit Z on the keyboard and go to wireframe mode. And this will allow you to kind of watch in real time what the decimate function is doing. So if you just take this ratio from 1 and drag it down slowly, notice that what it's doing is it's removing geometry. So if you drag it all the way down, you're going to see it will totally decimate the object into something very unusable. But what this is doing is it's allowing you, if you look here at face count, at the beginning, when this was at 1, the face count was 39,000 faces for me. As I drag this down, you know, I could cut that in half. But what you want to look for, so if you go back, now that you see what it's doing, go back into a solid mode. What you want to do is find a balance. Like, okay, if I decrease all these faces, is the object still pretty, is it lumpy in the way that I want it to be lumpy? So if I go back to the top versus decreasing it a lot, you can find sometimes, okay, well, that's actually, wow, I've cut the faces way down. You can see they're way, way more simplified, but I've kept all that shape. And that's basically the point of this modifier. So if you apply it, and now I go into tab, now I've got a much more simplified model, but it's kind of shaped the way I want to. So again, it's finding a balance between detail, render time, processing, all that stuff. That's basically what I want to show you about that modifier. The other two, let me go back. The other two, if you go to unsubdivide and you click on these iterations, see in this case it's not doing much. So if I unsubdivide, it doesn't seem to be doing anything in fact to that. If I go to collapse, that's what we were before. If I go to planar and I change the angle limit, the lower the number, the more it looks like it was originally, and the higher number, the more decimated it becomes. So again, you can look in solid mode, you can make this number higher or lower. I tend to think that the most intuitive way of working is using the collapse one, the first one, and ratio.